No, that might be something I would like to try in the future, but this time around, I think because I was very focused on this being the first Stephen Wilson solo album, I was very meticulous about exactly how I wanted it, and I planned everything very carefully. I was very controlled in the way that this record was created. I think in the future it would be great to maybe have a looser kind of approach to the writing process. But you know what? This time I had so many ideas. I wrote about 30 songs in a very short period of time, and it just all came from within very quickly. And it was only later on that I started to think about having other people involved. Well, I think for musicians, obviously music is more important to them than it is for perhaps people who are not musicians. Most people who listen to music, it can be a very special thing. Of course, I'm not suggesting it's not. But most people who listen to music, maybe it's something that's just part of the background of their life, you know. Something to put on while they're cooking the dinner, or something to put on while they're relaxing in the evening, or something to put on their iPod when they're jogging, or they're on the bus or the train. For musicians, obviously, the importance of music has gone to a higher level. It's not only something that they like, it's something that is so special to them that they feel the need to create themselves. And I think my music is something that is it's not easy to find, firstly. We're not in the mainstream. I'm not in the mainstream media. You won't hear my songs on the radio. You won't see my videos on MTV. You won't see me on the front cover of Q or NME. I wish you would, but you don't. So I have to, there you go. So I think that's the first reason why the music is a little bit harder to find. And only I think people who are a little bit more passionate about discovering music will find it. Those people musicians tend to be a little bit more passionate about finding music. Also, I think musicians tend to be a little bit more eclectic in their taste. A lot of people who listen to music, they will say, what kind of music do I like? Well, I like R&B music, or I like metal music. Musicians, not all, of course, but most musicians tend to be quite wide-ranging in the music they listen to. They'll listen to everything from death metal to ambient music to jazz. They'll listen to anything that they think is, generally speaking, they'll listen to anything that they feel is creative and inspiring. So again, my music is not music which fits easily into a box. I think you have to be quite broad-minded to enjoy the music, because it does go, sometimes even in the space of one song, it will go from death metal to ambient music, to folk music, to pop, to rock. So, and on this solo record particularly, it's very, very broad and it's quite diverse. Well, I don't think too much about it. That is the other thing, you're right. Musicians are, of course, also the most critical. And they will put you the most under the microscope. And they have the highest expectations of you. They can be quite snobby. I can be very snobby, I'm particularly snobby about other music, and I'm particularly snobby about music when I think musicians are being lazy. When I think bands or musicians are just repeating themselves. I can be very critical of that, because I think that's lazy, and I think that's when musicians stop evolving artistically and creatively. That for me is disappointing, and that happens to musicians. You can almost see in a musician's career when they've stopped being inspired by creativity, and they're just doing it because it's what they do. This is my job, I'd better make a record. Not, you know what, I've got so many ideas, I have to make a record, I need to make a record. It's more like, I need to pay the bills, I need to make a record. So I can be very critical of musicians too, but that's keeps you on your toes. Not within a porcupine tree. The reason I didn't make this music with porcupine tree is because it's not porcupine tree music. It's something else. It's something separate from that. I would love to play it live. I'm starting to think now about how I would do that. There are two issues for me. Firstly, there's the issue of time. Porcupine Tree's already making their next record now, so there is a window of opportunity for me to do some shows in the summer. The other issue I have is who will play this music with me, because obviously being a solo project, I would now have to put together a band. Most of the people who played on the record wouldn't be logical because they're in Japan, America, but they're all Mexico, they're all over the world, so logistically that just wouldn't be possible. I would have to find musicians. I have some ideas actually. I have some people that I know that I would like to work with. So I'm not ruling it out. I would say there's a good chance it will happen.